What if I told you that Ivory Coast's road to independence was not one with rifles in the jungle, but with words, patience, and strategy? That in just a few decades, a small West African colony went from the chains of forced labor to becoming the beating economic heart of an entire region? Today, we uncover the untold story of Ivory Coast, from ancient slave caravans to the night the Ivorian flag was raised for the very first time. And trust me, this is a story you cannot afford to miss. Long before European arrival, the Ivory Coast region was home to Akan peoples, Mande traders, and Kru-speaking communities. From the 11th century onward, powerful kingdoms like Mali and Songhai influenced the area through trade networks: salt, gold, ivory, and sadly, people. The Atlantic slave trade's impact here was indirect but real. Captured Ivorians were sometimes sent to coastal hubs in present-day Ghana and Benin before being shipped overseas. By the late 1400s, Portuguese explorers reached the coast, mapping it for future trade. The French followed in the 1600s, trading for ivory and pepper before intensifying their presence in the 19th century. 1843 to 1844. France signs treaties with coastal chiefs, establishing protectorates. 1893. Ivory Coast is declared a French colony, integrated into French West Africa. The colonial economy is built on coffee and cocoa plantations. Official slavery was abolished in 1848, but the French imposed corvée labor, mandatory unpaid work for infrastructure and farming. Villages lose young men to railway construction and road building, often under brutal conditions. Resistance movements flare up in the interior, but are crushed by French troops. This wasn't just colonization, it was extraction. Land, labor, and resources were pulled out, while the people were kept on the margins. Wabiobutu changes everything. African soldiers fight alongside French forces and return home with new political ideas. 1944's Brazzaville Conference hints at reform, but stops short of offering independence. Félix Houphouët-Boigny, rose a cocoa farmer turned a doctor, was elected to the French National Assembly in 1946. He champions the Abolition of Forced Labor Act, passed in 1946, ending corvée labor across French Africa. That same year, he co-founded the Democratic Party of Côte d'Ivoire, PDCI, linking it to the African Democratic Rally, RDA, a continent-wide movement pushing for African autonomy. The 1950s saw a tug-of-war between African nationalists and French colonial authorities. Houphouët-Boigny adopts a pragmatic strategy. Instead of violent uprising, he builds influence in Paris while expanding grassroots support in Abidjan and the rural areas. 1956, Loi Cadre de Fer grants limited self-government in French colonies, giving Africans control over local assemblies. Houphouët-Boigny becomes a vice president of the French Council of Ministers, wielding power in both France and Africa. This dual role earns him criticism from radical nationalists, but allows him to negotiate independence from a position of strength. General Charles de Gaulle offers a choice: stay in a new French community with autonomy but not full independence. Vote for immediate independence, but lose all French financial aid. Guinea votes for immediate independence. France withdraws completely, leaving its economy in ruins. Ivory Coast votes to stay in the community. Houphouët-Boigny's plan to strengthen the economy first. Within 2 years, he negotiates full independence with continued economic ties. August 7, 1960, Ivory Coast declares full independence. The tricolor flag, orange, white, and green, is raised over Abidjan. Félix Houphouët-Boigny becomes the first president, vowing stability and prosperity. Abidjan quickly becomes the economic hub of West Africa, fueled by cocoa and coffee exports. Rules from 1960 to 1993, one of the longest-serving African leaders. Maintains close ties with France, France-Afrique, bringing investment but also dependency. Ivory Coast enjoys political stability while its neighbors face coups and civil wars. By the 1970s, become the world's top cocoa producer. Criticism: one-party state, limited press freedom, suppression of dissent. Yet many remember his era as a golden age of peace and growth. Ivory Coast's independence story isn't one of gunfire and revolution. It's a masterclass in political strategy. It shows us that freedom can be won with patience, unity, and vision. Houphouët-Boigny's legacy is complex, but his ability to navigate between African nationalism and French partnership gave his people the best possible start. Independence was just the first step. Nation building is the real challenge. If this journey inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because our next African independence story will change how you see history forever.